Hello, everybody. I toast to you and all you do. I hope you're having a fantastic morning, day, night, evening, whenever it is that you're watching this. I have to start by saying I was just making this great video. Apparently, I was rambling about something I shouldn't have been talking about. My spirit guides were like, and we can't save this anymore. We're going to move some stuff around and decide that your camera's not going to work. So we'll have to start over again. Excuse me. So, I have 2 videos to put up hopefully today. This one on the full moon and then another one on our loofahs. We had to pick loofahs last week because it started snowing a little bit and it got really cold. So all of our gardens here are sad, no more, which is good. Honestly, I am at the point where I am overwhelmed with herbs and I have a lot of herbs to process. I'm running out of time. I have probably 20 jars of herbs sitting right here next to the camera. I have 13 more bags of herbs to process. I only got 1 jar into my wormwood. See, 1 jar full, and there's still a lot. There's so much in there. Before it started seeping through my plastic gloves and making my fingers go numb. So, public service announcement and safety to witches and pagans and persons collecting herbs wherever you may be. When you're processing your herbs, be mindful that even these plastic gloves that are like meant to protect you from exterior sources, like they do great with the mint, it doesn't seem to go through them. But the worm one, it did. Totally fingers numb. Made my face, I was having like elevated thoughts of grandeur. It's like, well, it's definitely, I have a short mound version. It's called the Japanese wormwood. It survives through winter, and it doesn't grow 4 foot tall. And I was concerned because it's a different genus. I don't think that's the right word. It's a different breed of wormwood. It wasn't going to be as potent as the wormwood, Artemis, whatever, original Alice, probably. I'm going to laugh if that's really what it's called. Anyways, it is, though. It's great. It's super potent. It smells amazing. And be caution when using in large quantities because it's potent. Anyways. I'm nervous about going into this next part of the video because it's already stopped me from recording one time. But I feel like this is so important. And it ties to the full moon. So we're going to try again. Hopefully, I stay on track. And my spirit guides don't say, hey, start over. You messed this up. Okay, so this full moon that comes up on the 20th is in Aries. And it is the blood moon. So this is an action moon. This is a moon of great intent and like, bam, energy, power, focus, all of those things. This is a very powerful witch's moon. And this is a moon where we're really, really encouraged to go out and experience. I know I've talked about this before on my channel, but one of those ways that I really connect with my ancestors and my past lives and those energies and all of that stuff is through gardening and through being present with the earth. And so while I was going through all my herbs yesterday and the day before that, because it's taken several days now that they're all dry. Well, actually, some of them were not. I just collected them on the last dark moon. And so, like my rosemary and stuff like that, and some sages. And so, those aren't quite ready. But anyways, I was thinking, no wonder they always had an apprentice. No wonder that like the shamans or the medicine man or the witch or the whatever always had an apprentice. And if they didn't, you never saw them. Because it is so much work. I just processed 4.5 herbs over the last 2 days. And I'm not saying I was here all day. But, probably 3 hours each day. So in 3 hours, I processed 4 herbs. And I have 20 jars of herbs. I have quite a few. But in reality, I look at my garden and I can hear my voice, my aunts, and my spirit over there like, you did not collect every single tomato off that vine. You did not collect all of the herbs that you could have collected. Some I chose to leave so that the plant can be there, to help protect it since it was younger. But I hear this voice, they're like, you left stuff out on the vine. You failed, because our ancestors would have left nothing. They would have left things to grow, but it would have been intentionally like, I'm going to leave this and plant it so that it grows a new tomato bush, or I'm going to, but you wouldn't have left food out to just leave and rot. Like, I have tomatoes right now that if I found time today, I could make tomato sauce and process and do all of that. And so I have that voice that's like, you should go out there and do that. And I just don't have time. But anyways, so all I could think of is how my ancestors, one, wouldn't have left all of that stuff on the vine. And two, would have had someone there to help them and be like, this is mint. And this is how you take care of mint. Now, here is like 3 or 4 plants worth of mint. Go ahead, process this. So it was in that experience, though. And so this is where it ties into that full moon and with the Aries energy, and this being a moon of experience. This is a moon of action, of do this, not just sit and read about it. It is really easy to read and read and read and read and read and be like, well, I've read every Scott Cunningham book and all the DJ Conway books and all the Buckingham books and all of, and just go down the list and say, oh yeah, I've read all of those books. I've done all of that. That makes me an expert, right? It really doesn't. You could have read none of those books. You could have spent 3 months living in the woods and have all of that experience because you experienced the earth. And so this full moon that's coming up is an experience moon. Don't just sit and read about it. Don't just watch this video about it. Get up and do something and go and experience some magical aspect of nature, some magical aspect of this, it's not a season change, but it's a shift in energy. So we celebrate the equinoxes and the solstices as these times where the energy is shifting because the sun is changing direction. And since the sun has such a grand influence on the earth, for so many reasons, that energy shift is really felt. And so we see that in the season changes and all of that stuff. However, when we celebrate Beltane and Imbolc and the last harvest or Samhain, we are actually celebrating the earth's reflection of that energy, or the earth's response to that energy. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And so when we celebrate Samhain, we're celebrating the response. The last harvest is that energy of shifting from harvesting the energy that we've gotten from the sun to moving internally, to hunting, to using our supplies, to using our resources that we have, that the earth has, and surviving in that way. So we come now to the last harvest, and we are reminded of death because we can honor our ancestors. We can take their lessons so we can see, how does this help us make it through winter? And in our modern world of instant technology and instant gratification and all of these things are at our fingertips and we can just, master this information. I love it with baking. I feel, I can look up any recipe. I love finding recipes. Like, I really like cooking food from other countries. So I'll find recipes from other countries, and we have all these technologies I can translate from whatever language it is. I really like Indian food, so the recipe for naan that I use is from a website in India that's written in another language. I don't know what it is, and I have it translated so that I have that recipe. And so we have this instant gratification. I can be an expert in making this because I have this great recipe from people who make this all of the time, and they are the ones to ask. So that's what I did. And that's not how it goes with your practice. That's why it's called a practice. You could read every Scott Cunningham book, okay? And he talks about mint a lot in his books. Sage, a lot. This is spearmint. You wouldn't know that unless you read it. Or you had experienced it and grown it and known. I can look at the leaf. I can smell the leaf. I just know the difference. I have a bag that's mixed because it's got spearmint and chocolate mint. And you can't. They're growing together. And unfortunately, the spearmint is more aggressive than the chocolate mint. So this winter, I'm going to have to tear out a lot of the spearmint and pull it back so that the chocolate mint can have a chance to grow. Maybe move that. But anyways, in experiencing those herbs and being with those herbs, I have a far grander understanding of the herb itself and the principle itself and the energy that it brings to a space. And you could read about mint in 100 books and in 100 places and not know the things that you know after you grew it. And that is the energy that is present right now. And this is a short time frame when we get this energy specifically, because we have the harvest and we come into the equinox and we have all of this harvest. And we're talking about harvesting. And then we're going to go into the dark side of the year from Samhain to Yule when we're turning inward. And so there's this phase right between when the energy is shifting, when that's this primal energy of action. And now it comes with the Aries moon, which again is primal energy of action. And I know we think about Aries as the war god and the war, but it's more than just that. The actual Aries, the zodiac sign, is based off of a ram. That's why it's a ram in the sky and not some dude god, Aries. But Aries the ram took action when it was needed and made swift judgments to do the right thing and take that action. The god Aries, however, we do have the stories where he's big-headed and consumed. At the same time, he was also like a god that brought action and swift justice and was like, this is what's happening. And so with this full moon, that's what it's about. It's about going out and experiencing, about doing what is needed to be done. Not necessarily, it can be for grander global purposes, grander community purposes. We have got, our rights being tread on right now by the government in a million different ways. And, we have the right to stand up for ourselves. And so it could be about that. And I think globally there is a lot of that happening. But on an individual basis, it's also about you going out and having that experience. Hatred and racism and all of these negative things come from closed-minded places where you only see this much information. If we all went out and experienced something new, you change. Your brain goes from oh, this is all I know, to, oh, there's so much beauty in this world that I can go out and experience, even if it's down to the smallest thing. My daughter has a prejudice now against bees and wasps. We were in an abundantly filled flower garden, and it was beautiful and amazing, but there were hundreds of bees and wasps and pollinators because there were that, and they had just watered recently, and so there were puddles of water that they were drinking out of, and so we were just being mindful and carefully going along. Now my youngest had flowers on her pants, and a wasp landed on her pants, and I think when it realized that she was not a flower, and she kind of swung her leg or swatted at it or whatever, it stung her. Bitter. So now she's got this really upset with them. And so we just keep trying to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and experience it, and more than just that one experience, so that she can broaden her horizon and see something different. So when we go out and experience, that's what we're doing. And even if it's just you go out for a walk at night, you live in the city and it's hard. One of my favorite things that I miss miss about living in the city is that they always have these beautiful ornamental flowering trees in the springtime. Every city I've ever been to always has places where they have these trees. There will be a park or next to the Capitol or whatever. And my favorite thing on Beltane is to shake a blossoming tree and let all of the petals fall down on you. And here, where I live now, I have to go into neighbors' yards. They're not as big as on that in the parks up here where I live. So it's harder to find one of those in public space. But when I lived in the city, they were everywhere. And this is a way that I could experience nature in springtime and connecting with the fairies and all of these things in such a beautiful way. It was such an amazing experience. It brings so much joy just to think about it right now. And that's an energy you want to propagate. And so when we go out and have experiences, we have more energy to propagate. We have more ideas, we have more understanding, we have more connections, especially when it comes to connecting with the earth. And so as this is that time, I know everybody's like, oh, it's the time of death, but in death is birth. This is an important aspect of life, and it should remind you of your mortality so that you know that you are experiencing this life to experience it. And every experience is valuable and important. And I know some of them we don't value because they were not pleasant experiences. However, like the old saying goes, you can't have the good without the bad. We can't treasure love without loss. And so these are aspects of mortality. Even the gods are jealous of the people because when we smell a rose, it can be for the first time or the last time. And that's a beautiful thing. That's an experience. Every rose smells different. And if you haven't smelled 100 roses, you don't know that. They all have that similar rose smell. But some of them are really, really strong, and some of them are not. And some of them smell totally different. And unless you smell 100, then you wouldn't know that they're all different. So you have to have that experience in order to know that. I grew up thinking that every snowflake was unique. In fact, they are not. If you looked at 100 snowflakes, you would find similarities between them. You have to experience this. You have to be present with this. And so you have to go out and experience more things. So very important under this moon. Like I really under this moon would challenge you to go out and pull down the moon or light a candle for the deceased, do a seance, go to the graveyard, go experience some aspect of magical being and be present in that. Really be present in that. Not thinking about what the book said or what you're going to post on social media or should I take a selfie or any of that. Be present in your connection with the earth at this time and really feel that. So, very important. Let's talk about what else is going on astrologically right now, because a lot of things just happened, which again are going to reinforce all of the things that I just said. So, Pluto, in this order, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury all went direct. We still have Uranus in retrograde, and I don't know where Neptune is. Pooh. I used to make this really cool color-coded chart so that you could see. I need to go back to doing that. It was way easy for my brain to look at. But time-consuming. All that time that I need. Anyways, so all 4 of these planets just went direct, which is like swing into action. And put things in place. Go. Pluto is a death. And right now it is square, I want to say. Yep. Square. It is square right now with Humera. I'm probably saying it wrong. It's a Hawaiian word. It's the Hawaiian goddess. It's one of those dwarf planets way out there, but it is conjunct with Mars right now, which again is saying take action into those new beginnings. And it's square with Pluto, which is death. So those things are happening. You have death and rebirth and new actions and new places, and let's do this. We are going to step into this womb of darkness with a goal in mind. And this can be on all aspects of your life, not just one. So you have to think socially, emotionally, spiritually, physically present, all of the different places that we are in a holistic place. Are they balanced? Are you doing things in order to honor all of them? And what are you going to do? Let's do this. We also have the Sun trine with Jupiter and Mars trine with Jupiter, which is bringing about this big, honest, truthful vision. It says, bam, let's do this. Again, I'm saying it is a time to take that action, to take that charge, to make that magic happen. Go out, have those experiences, do that. Right now it's like an energetic tipping point. And we're going from all of this retrograde and that. And we're moving into action and do. And what did you learn? And what did you experience? And now what are you experiencing? And opening your mind. November's going to be a big time. Like the end of October and into November is going to be a big time for truth. Mercury came out of retrograde and it said, I am here to spread the word. It is at opposition right now with Cryon. So Cryon is the planet of vulnerability and feelings and emotions. And it's kind of, it's in the asteroid belt. And so it's constantly tumbling. Okay. And so right now being at opposition to Mercury, Mercury is communication. So Mercury is calling out to all of those people who are tumbling, who feel emotionally challenged. This is now. We're going to stand up for these people. We're going to stand up for yourself. You're going to stand up for even to yourself and make that change and make that, old things die and new things come. And we're going to get this harsh truth. We've got it coming in so many different places. It was just funny looking at the natal chart for this full moon because the sun and the moon and Aries. Oh no, not the moon. Okay, so the sun, Mars, Humere, they're all on one side, and the moon and Eris and other planets, they're all right here, and they're all at opposition, but these are all at conjunct. And then we have these great squares going on because we had a few things. But when you looked at the chart, it was very much like this side and this side. And so it made this, for me visually, it's just that polar opposites. And then coming together, which is about experience, which is about doing, is about taking the left hand and the right hand and you put them together and you go and you do something with them. Aries is the energy of I am doing this. So what are you? And then do it. Yeah. Just a lot of, I told you, it's just a lot of transitioning from this almost idle energy. I know with Pluto being stationary for the beginning of October, I felt so I was moving like this in slow motion. Oh, it was really challenging for my brain, and I felt like I wasn't getting anything done, and everything was stuck and waiting. And now that it's come out of retrograde and out of stationary, because it is one that stays in stationary for a long time, so it looks like it's staying in the same place in the sky for a long time. It's just sitting there. And so I could hear in my brain people being like, well, that's an optical illusion. And yes, it is an optical illusion, but it is not an illusionary angle. Just because in our eyes we see it sitting still does not mean that it is not at a specific angle range from Earth when you align the sun and the Earth and the whatever, okay? And so when you look at the planet as it moves, it is an optical illusion. However, when we look at the planet in its solar orbit, and our planet in our solar orbit, they only sit at these same places for a certain amount of time. So that, yes, it does look like it's moving backwards, but actually what it's doing is it's fascinating. And it's another experience I would highly recommend you having, is looking at the natal charts and the solar charts and how they align and what they are, and seeing how they say it's at 20 degrees. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh! It's at 20 degrees or 15 degrees or whatever. This really does mean something. It's not just some kooky astrologer went outside and was like, I see this and I'm going to measure. And it's like, no, this is a scientifically measured fact that has a magical influence. And now that we have science to line up those facts, we can say, oh, well, the planet's not actually moving backwards. It's just in this angle with us so that we see it in a certain way. It's still a time of magical importance. So, as all of these planets just made that shift, and now they're all moving right through the sky, and we can see them all, and we're all happily moving along in the same direction, it is like a snowball of, like, let's do this kind of energy. So, I really, really challenge you on this full moon on Wednesday to go out. And if you don't at least stand under the moon for 5 minutes, do more. Like, go for a walk. Talk to your loved ones who have died. Do something that opens up your mind to a new experience. And yeah, learn something new. And finally, as the last little part, I will be doing the introspective journey from Samhain to Yule again like I did last year. It'll be different and new questions. I'm actually working on a physical book that will go with it. It will look kind of like this one. It'll look more like this one. I haven't picked a picture for the cover yet, but it'll be like this. It'll have questions throughout it. This one has pictures because it's about herbs, but the other one won't have any pictures in it. It'll just be questions and then journal space. So each one is like that. So, hopefully they will be up and ready. That herb book is, if you're interested, it's on Amazon. So that'll kind of help go through all of the questions, but there will be a new question every day, and they will be questions designed and geared towards knowing yourself deeper and having a better understanding of yourself. They will be different questions from last year. Some of them will overlap because they always do. There are things I think that you should always be continuously asking yourself, like, what are your values? Where, is your ideal self and your true self? Do they line up? Are they even close? Are you honoring yourself emotionally, spiritually, physically, in all of those different ways? So there will be some of those things that are repetitive every year, but there will be new questions and different things. And this year really, now that we're talking about it, I can't even remember how it is more geared. Normally every year they're kind of geared in a certain direction. This is the 5th year, so it's getting more challenging to find new questions. No, I'm just kidding. There are so many things that you can ask yourself to better understand yourself. So part of this shift that we're having, we're starting to feel now, and that as we come to the last harvest and starting on November 1st, we'll really start to feel with that darkness, is this need to go internal and to analyze and to think and to process. So this will be a great experience. I'll post a new video every day, and it will be all about the introspective journey. So I hope you all join me for that. It is a lot of fun, and I think that's everything. I just really challenge you this Wednesday, day after tomorrow, to go out and have some kind of experience with nature. Meditate under a tree. Go for a walk. Pick a leaf up off the ground and really look at it. Learn about a new drug, whatever it is. Learn about it by going out and touching it and feeling it and smelling it. Like, not on your phone. So, put the phone down. Wait, first like. And if you don't already subscribe. If you want to check out a great astrologer, check out Pamela Gregory. She is an amazing lady in Great Britain. Puts out great videos that are way, way in depth. I have to watch them twice sometimes. And yeah, I hope to see you all soon and that you have a very, very happy full moon in Aries, blood moon, whatever you want to call it. This is a big time, so go out, experience love. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon.